Ladies and gentlemen, your host for the evening, Venom Xenomorph. Hello everyone, it's Venom Xenomorph and welcome back to another episode of Vex's Horror Corner. Today we're going to be covering two different topics that are going to be revisits of old topics. One of them is a revisit of an older topic on this podcast, and the other one is a revisit of something that I haven't posted on the channel in a very long time. So let's just get right into it with the first topic being Fede Álvarez's Aliens film, which has had some recent news in terms of casting Kaylee Spaney as the new protagonist, the new Ripley or Daniels, or however you may perceive it, of this new Alien film. Now, this film has previously been rumored to be an Aliens Colonial Marines film, so it should be a very interesting role for her to play. And I'm very excited to see exactly what the film is going to be like as a whole. After all, Fede Álvarez is responsible for the Evil Dead remake, as well as some other projects in the past, such as Don't Breathe. So I'm really excited for this film. Kaylee Spaney, not so much personally. The only film I actually recognize her from, in terms of a film that I've seen, is Pacific Rim Uprising, and that wasn't a fantastic film, you know. So there is a lot of ground to cover in terms of me feeling like this could be a fantastic role for her. That being said, though, I'm down to see what Fede Álvarez actually has in store for us. But next up on the docket, and the thing that's going to take the most time out of this episode of the podcast, and the thing that most people are probably going to be watching this podcast for, is my new Bendy concept for Dead by Daylight. So Bendy was a very interesting concept for me in the past. Originally, I was trying to build it around the Ink Machine version of the Ink Demon and how a lot of his abilities would work. And not a lot of people were thrilled with that concept, at least not as much as the Springtrap Dead by Daylight concept. And the Bendy one, I've actually had a lot of time to think and process about, especially with this new game coming out and the new design and the way that he works. So I'm going to cover a little bit in terms of what the Dark Revival has in store for this new concept. But I am leaving a little bit of a spoiler warning right now just in case. But I really don't think there's much to spoil. The game has been out for not much more than a couple days, but that being said, the things I'm covering are more about appearance and design and not really about gameplay mechanics, okay? So one of the things to get right into is the fact that there are two versions of Bendy in Bendy and the Dark Revival in comparison to the first Bendy. So there's the Ink Demon, and then there is a smaller little Bendy, like a cute Bendy. These are the same person or same demon, you know. There is a cute form and then there's a monstrous form, and the monstrous form has become a lot more interesting than it did in the first game, so which is why a lot of people have wanted me to recover this concept. So this version of the Ink Demon, this new monstrous version of the Ink Demon, it has led a lot of people to think that the mechanics of him possibly being added to Dead by Daylight could be a lot more close to the Demogorgon. Originally, a lot of people, or including myself, who wanted to see Bendy in the Dark Revival, or Bendy and the Ink Machine in Dead by Daylight, they wanted to see him be a melee killer, using, you know, the gent pipe and being able to teleport through walls. Now, this new version of the Ink Demon doesn't need to teleport through walls as much as he is able to leap around, very similar to the Blight's ability of dashing and bashing against things. I would argue that it could be a very similar ability to either Wesker or the Blight in terms of how the Ink Demon works. He could also use a Demogorgon teleport ability. I would probably dub this ability the Dark Puddles, in terms of being able to transport his way across the map. I would argue that the alternate forms also give us a bit of an Oni personality, in terms of being a not so dangerous version of himself prior, and then becoming more and more aggressive over the course of the game, either similar to Oni or similar to Nemesis. I would argue Nemesis is probably the more accurate of them. And this would obviously lead to an increase in terror radius. The Ink Demon would obviously, of course, have a melee attack, but not with a gent pipe like I had previously conceived as a good concept. Instead, it would be melee with his bare hands, as this new version of the Ink Demon does have more of like a claw feature and more like, you know, jagged fingers, which would allow of a swiping or scraping ability similar to the Demogorgon. But that being said, you know, I will cover the Bendy concept in a much more in-depth video. I actually do have my thoughts in terms of the next Dead by Daylight killer, and I would personally argue that the alien might be the next licensed killer from Aliens. And the reason why is because of the licensing that Disney has been doing insanely well with lately regarding that IP. So we're going to see a lot of Alien announcements pretty quick here. We're going to see more footage on Aliens Dark Descent. We're going to see some footage finally on Aliens by Servios and other different games and other different projects involving the Alien universe. We have the Noah Hawley TV show. We have Fede Alvarez's Alien film. There's a lot going on in the Alien universe, and they just want to keep going and going with it. It's an IP that they're really able to expand on. So I think that sharing that IP with a game like Dead by Daylight or something like that would definitely boost the ratings and boost the strength of the IP. So I feel like the next killer is going to be more closer to Alien than any other video game concept character, although they have openly said that they are willing to accept more video game characters and more out-of-the-box characters from different genres as well, to be able to see those added to Dead by Daylight, but only the future will be able to tell. So let me know in the comments down below if you guys like this episode of Vex's Horror Corner, and if I covered everything that people wanted to hear in terms of my new Bendy concept, as well as some updates on the Fede Alvarez Alien film. And let me know if there's more you want to hear about, and if you're looking forward to a bigger, larger, more in-depth Bendy and the Dark Revival chapter concept in the comments down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you want to hear more episodes of Vex's Horror Corner or any other content coming out in the future for this channel, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!